Oh, that was so quick.
Yes.
And this is a very topical issue that actually affects a lot of youngsters out there. And I know that you have so much you're going to benefit from this discussion because Mr. Christopher Johnson has a lot of experience and he's ready to share some of these views with you on how you could get yourself, you know, put yourself on that right track, put yourself, align yourself positively. Because I know that you could be influenced negatively by your peer group, by your friends or people around you, people you associate with, because I know that the internet space is a very wide space where you could learn, entertain, get valid information, news that are very important. But at the same time, it can also affect you negatively because we've seen a lot of youngsters get carried away and they are influenced negatively in the aspect of being exposed to a lot of sexual content. And that also affected them because now, instead of being focused to be able to drive their content in the social media positively, they are now using their body to trade to make income through the internet space, and they feel
Yes.
very comfortable with. So
Yes.
it's a sensitive thing, and that's why we have Mr. Christo to attend to some of those questions because it's going to welcome Mr. Christopher Johnson. I'm so happy that you're here on this platform to discuss this because you were on my broadcast that day, and I was doing a recap of the interview I had with one of my friends, Ollie, who shared her sexual violence experience. She was raped, and she wanted to come and share so that other people who also went through that process can also be healed. They can come out from it. And you suddenly, made a comment. I want to come out live too, and that was so thoughtful of you. That was so thoughtful of you. So I'm going to welcome Mr. Chris Johnson, and let me say a little bit about him. Mr. Christopher Johnson has been a resident of Detroit since 1970. So he has been exposed, he's been educated, he grew up there, and he's currently employed as community liaison for Commissioner um, Ama Clark, and he's also the current president of Bagley Community Council. He's also is also ordained as an elder of Church of God in Christ. I wasn't even expecting to meet an elder on my broadcast that day, but it's good. It's good. So, Mr. Johnson, Christopher, is also wants to touch other people's life positively. See how well he can affect other people's life positively, make his own community a better place for everyone. So I want to welcome you on this platform. I want to welcome you on the show. It's good to have you, and we'll get right to talking about the topical issue. But let me allow you to say something. You've been smiling. Say something.
Well, I thank you for inviting me. And you're absolutely right. This is something that's really become a serious issue. As a matter of fact, it was funny. I was watching TV yesterday, as a matter of fact, and there was a new study that came out by the New England Journal of Medicine regarding social media influences on young people. So this is
Mm,
something that's not just only in Africa or USA. It's all over the world that this is
mm,
a serious issue. But I thank you for
yeah, it
having
is
me.
a serious issue. Yeah. I'm so happy to have you. I'm so happy. And I actually love your cooperation. You made everything easy and you're ready to talk about it. A lot of youngsters need to you your experience, your learned, so they need to hear from you. So the youth are vigorous users of information when it comes to broadcast, media content, and they have been influenced by this sexual attitude and they have a lot of expectation, no doubt. And then the stage where they are is actually a critical development stage. How can this exposure negatively affect the development stage, the developmental stage of youngsters?
Well, at an early age, their minds are still developing. Their emotions are still developing. So to be exposed to a lot of sexual things is not good. They haven't even had the chance to understand what relationships are about. And, you know, when they're exposed to all of this at an early age, when they do get into a relationship, sometimes there's certain things that they believe are expected or they have to do. And, it's just, it's sad that they have to be exposed to that. But then there's a danger of not only being exposed to it early, but being a target for predators.
Mm. So being exposed too early to this, how is it going to affect them negatively?
Well, you know, um, one thing is, I think if they're not taught certain things of what having a sexual relationship is about, it can affect them negatively. Whereas when they get to become an adult and can get into a relationship, they can't have good, positive relationships. They wind up choosing the wrong person because they think, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I have to do in order to get this person to pay attention to me.
Mm. Oh, okay. Okay. At the same time, we also see the mass media and the internet, the social media space as a place where you can also get information for your health and then having a healthy sexual relationship because you can also get educated through the internet about that. But
Absolutely.
looking at the negative influence that so many teens, a lot of youngsters are exposed to, how can social media be used to build a healthy relationship?
Well, you know, to see certain programs or be exposed to programs that are teaching them, about relationships, teach them about the dangers of unprotected or the dangers that the illness also explain to them what healthy relationships are. Letting what maybe the emotions they're going through, as they're developing through adolescence, you go through stages where your hormones start changing, you start developing certain feelings. Um, you want them to have good,
Mm,
healthy relationships. So
mm,
by them exposed to social media outlets, that's a good thing. And then it should be monitored. Honestly, there should be parents who are seeing what these
mm.
young people are doing. If they're not being monitored, then they can be exposed to a lot of things. But social media can be good, as a good teaching tool if it's done in the proper way, if they're getting to the right outlets.
Okay. So what you're saying is right now is that the teens or these youngsters should be monitored. But you know that many of them, once they're 18, it's not easy for you to monitor
Yeah,
them. They want
exactly.
to be free. They want to have their freedom. They want to have their
Right.
freedom. So
Mhm.
how do you think, or what would you suggest that how can this be controlled?
Well, I mean, like I say, if it starts at an early age, then when they get to that point, then they'll understand that, hey, I can use social media for good. I don't have to get on there and have somebody on the other end tell me, well, I'll give you some money if you um, show your body, or if you do this or do that. A lot of them, it's a struggle all over the world. People are struggling, and I understand these young people want to find their way to get money. But
Mm,
if it's in a negative way, I mean, I've watched on some of these sites, and I've saw the comments, and some of these guys, do the dangers of it is, okay, I'm 18 now, and I heard from my friend that I can go on this site and I can make money if I show
mm-hmm,
my body,
mm-hmm,
you know. So
mm-hmm,
then I get some guy on there and he's wooing me and saying, hey, I'll give you this and I'll give you that. Hey, contact me
mm,
offline. Predator, human trafficking is so bad around the world. There's a lot of people I know over there and here. Here, human trafficking is bad. These young people are being kidnapped and
mm.
forced to be sex slaves, and a lot of times they've been lured over the internet. And money, everybody needs money, but money can
Of course.
sometimes be used as an evil tool as opposed to something good. So I think
Yeah. So
a warning, letting young people know beforehand, can kind of help.
okay. So as an elder, because I know that you have you're very grounded spiritually as a Christian, what would you say about this negative influence? I know that the internet, the internet space is rapidly growing faster every day, and a lot of
Yes.
youngsters are exposed to this, and they are ready to do anything to make money for themselves. They're ready to expose their body to trade for money. They are ready to do it easily. In short, they feel comfortable doing it because they feel it's okay and it's good. Spiritually, what are the side effects to this?
Well, then there spiritually, I would say you're allowing yourself to be um, taken over by a lot of evil forces. I'm like I said, I'm a true believer, and I know the devil is out
Oh,
there. The devil is busy, and if he can grab as many young people as possible and get them into a lot of sexual perversions, it's harmful. And the reason why I say it's harmful is when they do find a person that they want to be in a relationship with.
mm,
Now all of a sudden there's a problem where they can't have a healthy relationship. Um, if they're so used to some of these guys on here are very abusive, the way they talk to the girls.
mm,
You better do this, or I'm not giving you this amount of money or whatever. So when you get into a relationship, if the male is saying, you know what, you better do this, that, and the other, now they're unhappy.
mm,
They want to be in a relationship, but the relationship they're in is not a healthy relationship. And spiritually, you know, there can be no growth. So, I think this is
mm.
very dangerous when you come to, that in spirituality.
Okay. So I'm going to say at this point that you're free to send in your messages. I can see a comment from Sugar Daddy saying that Melly doesn't want money. I do. I am working. I have bills to pay. So I need money. But I am only saying, oh, what we're talking about is the negative influence of sexual um, content, how teenagers, youngsters are exposed to this and they're using it negatively. So, but you can still make money in a positive way and drive it,
Absolutely.
being decent. Okay.
Yes.
But what Mr. Chris Christopher Johnson is saying here is that it has its own physical effect, it has its own spiritual effect, and that's what he's trying to share. That this can be controlled, and you shouldn't feel too comfortable doing it. So you're free to send in your comments. I need to get your comments. I know that so many people on the live streaming right now. We have over 1,000 views here, so you can just drop your comments. Don't just watch the broadcast. I need to get comments from you on this topic because this is what concerns a lot of youngsters out there. So share your experiences with us. Let's know what your experiences are. Have you been affected by this? Are you struggling with it? How are you managing to control it? Do you want to join the call? Let's have some messages from you there. Send us your chat. Okay, we're looking at effect of internet and sexual behavior of youngsters out there. All right.
Yes.
So I'm gonna you have medical experience, okay, and
Yes.
you've worked in different aspects, different units. I want us to look at how can this affect the productivity of a youngster, and then the mental reasoning, and as well as their goals and aspiration. We know that
Right.
so many people have outlined, this is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to
Mhm.
achieve in the next 5, 10 years. Some people don't even have a
Right.
plan at all. They don't even have a goal.
Absolutely.
They're not even setting any goal for themselves. But
Mhm.
it can also be a form of distraction, and it can affect their productivity and mental reasoning. So as a medical person who has experience in the medical field, what would you say about this aspect?
Well, let's talk about the physical aspect first. Physically,
Okay,
if
please.
they are doing things online, to themselves, at an early age, let's there's a risk of harming themselves. There's a risk of not being able to develop properly. Um, I it's hard to say on that because I didn't work in that area, but I can imagine, you know if you're doing this so much online as a youngster, when you get older and want to have a relationship with somebody, both male and female, now the feelings that you're supposed to get, you're not getting those feelings, because you're so used to
Mm,
um, performing without performing. So, and then emotionally, I think that, it can be harmful. But the main thing I think is really dangerous. If a person is doing this at a young age and they have goals and aspirations, like you said, if I start making money on social media and I'm going plans to go to college, I'm planning to be a doctor or a lawyer, but now I'm making this money on social media. Now all of a sudden, my plans are getting pushed to the side because, hey, I can't take time out because now I'm not going to make any money. Now, because I got to get this money, or I'm trying to do both of them at the same time, but now I'm not getting any rest because I'm
mm,
so busy on, line making money, and sometimes that can hurt our long term goals. So I think it's dangerous
mm,
in that way. And again, physically we can go back to that. They run a risk of being abused. You know, there have been cases where kids as young as 6 or 7 are online. Even playing games, the games that they play, and they're talking to people, and people are saying, "Hey, you like playing this game? Hey, I got this game that you can play, but you have to come here, or you have to meet me. Don't tell your mother and father. Just meet me somewhere." Kids are being kidnapped. They're being raped. You know,
mm,
so
mm,
physically that can harm a child. And like I said, then
mm,
the abuse that can happen. it- they're seeing a lot of negative things, even if we go beyond the sexual part. Seeing certain things at an early age can cause the thing. Seeing a lot of violence. Social media can
mm,
present itself in a bad way where They're seeing a lot of violent things. There's a couple of games that I've seen that I was like, wow. One is Grand Theft Auto, and in Grand Theft Auto, there's violence, there's sexual exploitation in
Mm,
that. You know, one
mm,
version, I guess you can go up and particularly rape a woman. I think crazy. And these young kids
mm.
are being exposed to that, so it's very dangerous.
Okay, let's look at the mental reasoning aspect of it. You've talked about the productivity, you talked about the distraction, how it can affect the goals and aspiration of a young star. Then look at the mental reasoning.
Well, mentally, we're seeing a lot of things go on around the world. I just saw a case about maybe a month ago where some young boys in Nigeria had kidnapped a young girl and was getting her prepared
Mm,
for a sacrificial ritual. And a lot of this, they're being exposed to it, not from people in their community or tribe, but from social media. They're seeing this and believing that, hey, I can gain power by performing this ritual. So I think it's dangerous because emotionally, mentally, it can put things in your mind that shouldn't be there. Mentally, you won't be able to reason like you think you should, or again, have healthy relationships with anybody. You know, anytime you can look at social media, and you got young people now that are killing their grandparents, cutting their bodies up. Who sees this? This is not something that we walk around and see happening on the street. I mean, this
I'm
long
telling
time
you,
ago, maybe, but now,
quietly.
and this, right, and to see that these are young people is doing these things, so it's dangerous. And
Mm,
then, I don't even want, I hate to get on to the racial part of it, but a lot of this was not done before by black people, people of color. This
yeah.
was things that a lot
Yes,
of
the
other
sexual
races were
rate is
doing.
increasing every day.
Yes. And so now it's being put into our communities of people of color, where we weren't doing these things before, but now social media has opened us up to these things that we see. And I think it's crazy. You know, some of the things that
Mm,
even sexually that young people are getting into. Listen, when I was going to school, and I hate to I'm trying to keep it pretty clean, but
mm.
having anal sex with a young girl, I had never heard of that. But now you got kids as young as 9 and 10 years old, they're doing that. And it's not because
Mm,
actually seeing it, faces, because they're being exposed to it through social media.
yes,
So
yes,
mentally,
yeah,
that can
yes.
really mess. And if you're messed up that way mentally, you can see the physical harm that it can cause long term.
They're exposed to it, and they've seen other people doing it probably on video or probably doing it live, and now they want to put it into
Yes,
practice by now doing it
absolutely,
to see to have
absolutely.
the experience. How does it feel like?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
uh,
It makes them curious because we didn't grow. Well, I didn't grow up seeing. We didn't have internet when I was younger. I just put it that way. Computers were just not coming out, but they weren't like the computers today. Now kids have cell phones. You used to have to go to a video store to see an X-rated video. Now they're being exposed
mm,
to, even on TV. TV has, on television, they're dropping some of the steps they have, and now they're seeing these things even on television. So I think it's really a serious issue that a lot of people need to look into. And then I tell people, if you don't have children, think about if you got nieces or nephews. Would you want them being exposed to something and causing harm? There are a lot of guys out here that don't think about what they're doing when they get on these sites and they're talking to these young girls. I put it like
mm.
this: you're contributing by telling them to do certain things. You're contributing to the dangers. And think about it. What if this was your young daughter? What if this was your young son? Would you want somebody talking to them? And it's not just girls, it's boys that are being exposed to these things. We just had an incident where they found some people that were had been kidnapped and used for sexual purposes. And it was a young 14-year-old boy. Well, he died from an overdose.
Mm.
And he overdosed because they were giving him drugs to keep him drugged and was using him for sexual purposes. And the drugs actually killed him. So, even our young boys are being exposed to this. So it's danger, but it has its good. I mean, internet opens a highway of everything. Think of it a positive way. If you want to do something in life, hey, look it up and say, what is it that I need to do? How can I get to that point? You know, some of these sites are excellent. Hey, I want to be a singer, so let me get on this site and sing and let people hear me. There are a lot of singers, a lot of rappers who were spotted on social media. So
Yes,
social media can
of
be
course.
really good. You know, you might be having a discussion about a certain topic, and maybe somebody's there and say, "Hey, you know what? I like what that person said." And maybe they reach out to you and
Mm.
say, "Hey, is this what you want to do? I'm going to help you. I'll pay to help you get through college."
I will
You know,
support you and so on.
exactly.
Yeah,
So, it's not all bad. It can be done for good, and that's the point that we need to
that's
let these
what
young people
we're
know.
driving. That's the point we're
Right.
driving.
Yeah.
You can
You know,
actually make good income through the social media
absolutely.
without being
Absolutely.
influenced negatively. You can
Right.
actually reach the whole world through the social
Absolutely.
media without doing it negatively. You can actually excel,
Absolutely.
and the whole world can hear you. You can be a
Absolutely.
voice to the
Right.
voiceless, even because it's a strong medium, it's a strong tool, it's a strong platform for you to utilize to achieve all of this. But we are only encouraging you not to fall into that negative influence of it, and always do self-assessment. If you know you're going out of place, you can bring yourself back and put yourself on track,
Absolutely.
and be
Absolutely.
focused.
Yep.
So
Even an
with the
artist.
negative, okay, go, carry on.
Oh, I'll say even artists. I saw a young lady who um, actually she makes pictures. She paints, she sketches and everything, and people have been paying her for her artwork. Um, they'll tell
Mm,
her, "Hey, I need this." I've seen a lot of people on here who have actually they sew clothes. They make different types of clothes and can make money that way. There are so many positive ways to make money. I was on
mm.
one broadcast. The guy was cooking. Him and his wife was in there cooking, and they were putting together a lot of different dishes and everything. And people were, you know, they were making doing that, and then people were asking for recipes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you have a talent in mind, things you want, hey, you can use. Maybe you want to be a lawyer. Well, create a talk show and have debates. So somebody can say, well, hey, that person is a
Mm-hmm.
great debater. Maybe I can help them
Yeah.
achieve their goal. Or who knows, a lawyer may be on there. You may have finished school and you try to get a job, and they be like, hey, I need that person to be at my law firm.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are ways to do this in a positive way. You know,
Mm. I'm encouraging everyone to send in the comments, the views, make comments on this aspect we're talking about today. And I have Miss Christopher Johnson right here. He's just been me from Detroit, Michigan, USA, and he had great time to do this, to have this discussion, just to encourage you out there that you can achieve your goals, aspiration. You can actually make it big using the social media platform. And
yeah,
I want to say, what is it? Where's the place for genuine love if this keeps going on? If this this negative influence keep going on? What's the place for genuine love? How it's gonna be difficult for you to actually know um, if there is a place for genuine love for any
Yeah,
relationship.
right. I think it's scary to think if this keeps going in a negative way, how this will be. Um, this generation will honestly, I think they'll self-destruct. Nobody will have good relationships. Nobody will have
So,
good jobs. I mean, it's scary. We just got to turn it around into a positive thing so that, and I mean, technology has increased, it has changed, it has brought us to a point where things are better. Even this pandemic, people looked at it in a negative. Yes, a lot of people died, but through the pandemic, it
yeah,
showed people that you can use social media and different platforms
to
to
do a
have
lot of
meetings
things.
like this. Just like your talk show. You know, this
Yeah,
has been an easier thing than to get a venue and have people come in and whatnot.
yeah.
Um, so
You can see
it
that you're just sitting in the comfort of your home right now, and you're joining the
exactly.
stream, and over here in Nigeria, and so on. And look at the distance. I didn't need to go far for this. I just sent you the link, and you came alive, and we're doing the
Right.
talk.
Exactly. So, but
So
I encourage anybody if you have even if you have a question, if you have a question for me, I have no problem answering it. But I would be happy if some of the people would just even comment or something. Um, I see over 1,100 people on this stream right now. So
right now, how many people
yes,
have you seen so far? I didn't get that figure.
it looks like there's over 1,100 people on the stream.
Oh, wow, 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 wow. I can see that many people actually joined the stream, but this is I need to get comments from you. Should we end it? Should we continue? I want to give Mr. Christopher this last question. I want to give Mr. Christopher his last question for the day.
Okay.
And I wanted you to look at the aspect of what are the suggested ways youngsters can adopt positive practice on social media app and still meet your target doing it decently. Like this is going to be like a form of advice coming from
Okay.
you. You have years of experience. You've been you've been exposed to a lot of things, and you have self-discipline. You still have self-control. You know what is good. You know what is bad. You don't allow things to affect you negatively. Many of the youngsters, including myself, we are upcoming, we are growing. So we need the advice that will always put a check and tell you, no, don't go that way. It's not good for you. You're going the wrong direction.
Right.
You need to put yourself on the right track. You need to be focused. You know what you're aiming to achieve. So even a lot of youngsters on this app, you also need this information. If you're on Buzzcast, you also need this advice. It will help you to be able to have a good, decent social media practice and have
Right.
content for yourself.
Right. Well, I that I could give is to um, first of all know what it is that you want to do with your life, and then know who you are. Know that God created you to be wonderful. He created you to do positive things. So you don't have to be forced into doing things that you don't want to. Situations arise, and I get it. Every people are suffering. I know the people say, "Oh, in the U.S. we're living like rich people," but we're not. We're suffering. I just put gas in my for my car 2 days ago, and it cost me $100 to fill it up. When normally before all this took place, I could put $40 in and I'm good. So but using social media
Now
can be
things are very
used.
expensive.
It is, and you can use social media in a positive way. You know, re- social media can be used to research. And I would advise young people research what it is you want to do, and when you get to that point, find things that you're good at, find your own talents, use that on these social media platforms. I love, a lot of people are getting noticed from social media. Comedians are using these platforms and they're making money because people are gifting them on there. There's a lot of sites that you can do that on. And I think it's great. This one is a good one. Like I said, I've seen so many singers on here, and I'm like, oh my, this is awesome. Or talent shows. I even saw a bridal show today, and I was like, wow. And different people got on there, and some of them
Really?
made their own dresses. Some bought dresses, but it was a bridal show, and they were able to get gifts just from modeling their bridal dresses. So I mean, there's positive ways you can do it. Maybe you have an ideal. Maybe you got an engineer. You want to show somebody something that you built. You know, put it together.
Mm,
Show them on social media. Hey, look, this is what I came up with. People,
mm.
minds when they're young are very bright. So there's I know the wheels will be turning. I was a niche in life. I saw somebody showing how to apply makeup online. Let that
Mm.
let the world know that. Maybe you're good at doing hair. Grab your sister and say, "Look,
Yeah.
this is the new style, and this is how you do the braids." And people will making
About. I know it's going to be a process, and I know that some people are actually struggling with it, and it's gonna take a little while for them to be able to outgrow it, and then stretch themselves and tell themselves the truth that they need to be focused, they need to stop being distracted, they need to be able to grow themselves, and achieve their goals and aspiration. And I really appreciate the experiences you've shared. I also appreciate the advice you've given. We know that the social media space has a very positive effect, but we also want them to be watchful, not to be influenced negatively, and you can see millions make a lot of income through the social
Absolutely.
media, but you need to do it
Absolutely.
decently. You need to do it decently.
Absolutely.
So I want to appreciate you for taking time out of your work schedule, because you told me you were actually working. You took out time out of your
Yes.
work schedule to do this. And I also want to appreciate you for coming on live to ready to do this. It was actually on a short notice, few days, and then we just fixed the date and you're here
Yes.
doing this. I want to thank you very much. And we need to strike a balance, and I want to encourage everybody out there to strike a balance, focus more on the
Absolutely.
positive influence, play down on the negative influence. You've heard what Mr. Christopher Johnson have just said. He's well experienced, he's grounded. When I went through his bow, short bow that he sent to me, and I was like, wow. I wasn't even I didn't know
Yeah.
that he's this experience in this aspect of what he's
Right.
doing medically,
Right.
spiritually, and then he wants to build his community, he wants to touch other people's life positively, and he's also here
Absolutely.
on Boostcast, and doing his encouraging other people. So I want us
Yes.
to pay more attention to avoid the consequences of the actions
Absolutely.
that we take here, and then try to embrace it positively. So if we don't have more comments coming in, I will have to let Mr. Christopher Johnson to go focus on his work,
Yes.
and
Well, I
we have to
appreciate
wrap it
you.
for the day. I didn't really put up. I did. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, I appreciate
carry
you
on,
having me
sir.
on this. Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me on the show, and you know, anytime I can come and provide any help or any words of encouragement, I appreciate it. I feel really encouraged. Over 1,300 people then popped in, even if they only stayed for a minute and got something. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So
Have you ever had such views on your broadcast, if I may ask?
never,
Sometimes I used to
never.
have up to 5,000.
Wow.
Sometimes I have, if I stay for 2 hours on the broadcast, I have over 5,000 views. I have over more than
Wow.
5,000 views. When I
Yes.
had the broadcast on sexual violence, it was almost
Mhm.
6,000 views I had that day. Yeah,
Yep. So,
almost six
well,
thousand views. But
I'll
but
be
but
here whenever,
I
and if
appreciate you.
you know, yeah, any advice that maybe somebody offline just needs to ask a question that they were afraid to ask in the room, feel free to send me a message, and
Yeah.
I'll try to respond to it.
Okay, that'll be nice. That'll be great. And then if I can still bring you on the show to talk about some health tips, because I
Absolutely.
know you have experience in the aspect of health. So I can still
Yes.
bring you to the show to talk about some health tips on how it can benefit all the people out there. I really
Yes.
appreciate the time you've spent with us today, Mr.
Oh,
Christopher
thank
Johnson.
you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate. So we're
Uh,
going to call it a day. So to allow Mr. Christopher to go do his work, and
yes.